Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me now with your heart wide open, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just another message. It's a divine summons you didn't stumble on this by accident. You didn't press play just because you were curious. No, God brought you here. God pulled you here because the time has come for you to see what's been hidden for so long. The time has come for your true identity to be revealed. Not the one the world told you to wear. Not the one your pain forced you into. Not the mask shaped by rejection. But the real you, the one God crafted in the silence of eternity. God is about to reveal who you really are. For far too long you've been buried under the weight of other people's opinions. You've been called names that never belonged to you. Not good enough, too broken, too old, too young, too different, too weak. But God never called you any of that. God never gave you those labels. The world did, hurt people did, the enemy of your soul did, and you believed it, you accepted it, you carried it. But God is about to tear the veil. God is about to shake the foundations of your false identity and lift you out of the pit you never belonged in. You are not what happened to you. You are not your failures. You are not your wounds. You are not your shame. You are not your past. You are what God says you are. And God doesn't make mistakes. God doesn't make accidents. God doesn't abandon the work. Of His hands, there is a reason you felt like you never fit in. There's a reason your soul has always felt like it was being pulled towards something higher. It's because your spirit was never made to conform to this broken world. You were born with divine fingerprints on your soul. There is something holy about your existence. There is something sacred about your pain. And there is something mighty about your future. God didn't allow you to go through the fire just so you could smell like smoke. God allowed it so you would walk out with the strength to carry your calling. God is about to reveal who you really are. There is a war going on inside you right now. And it's not just about circumstances, it's about identity. The enemy fears what you are. Becoming the darkness tried to crush. You tried to confuse. You tried to keep you buried in insecurity, anxiety, and doubt, but you're still here. You're still standing. You're still breathing. That's not just survival. That's divine purpose. You were preserved for this moment. God shielded you even when you didn't feel Him. God was there orchestrating the breaking of your false self. So the real you could rise. You see, God often hides His greatest warriors in obscurity. God conceals His chosen vessels in silence. The world doesn't see them coming because God is a master of surprise. The ones He is about to elevate are the ones who have been underestimated the most. The ones who have cried behind closed doors. The ones who have labored in the shadows. The ones who were faithful, even when they were forgotten. That's you. That's who God is about to reveal. The pain you carried was never in vain. The rejection you endured was never pointless. It was all part of God's process. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. God was stripping away the fake, burning away the pride, purging the impurities, and sculpting your soul into the vessel He destined it to be. And now the time has come. The unveiling is near. The stage is being set. The spotlight is about to shift. And when God reveals who you really are, every lie that was spoken over, you will fall like dust. You may have been called a nobody, but when God lifts the curtain, they will see a giant. You may have been mocked as weak, but when God opens the scroll of your destiny, they will see a warrior forged by fire. You may have been overlooked, but God never forgot you. While they were talking, God was building. While they were doubting, God was strengthening. While they were laughing, God was anointing the world. Saw your struggle, but God saw your surrender. Let me speak this with all the force in my soul. You are more than you think you are. You have been under spiritual attack, not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. The forces of evil only attack what threatens them, the pressure you felt. It's because you carry power, the confusion you faced. It's because your clarity is coming, the isolation you endured. It's because God was separating you from the noise so you could hear His voice. God is about to reveal who you really are. You're not just a person trying to survive another day. You're a vessel of divine purpose. You're a carrier of spiritual fire. You're a threat to the lies of hell. And when God unveils you, you won't even recognize yourself because the version of you that's about to emerge is stronger, wiser, freer, and more focused than ever before. This version of you doesn't bow to fear. This version of you walks in authority. This version of you speaks with clarity and moves with boldness. Let them underestimate you. Let them laugh. Let them dismiss you. Because when God steps in to reveal you, no man can deny what God ordains. You don't need validation from people who never saw the real you. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You only need God. And when God says it's time, nothing on earth or in hell can stop the unveiling. There's a weight in your spirit right now because your soul senses it. Something is about to shift. That pressure in your chest, that stirring in your belly, that holy restlessness that keeps you awake at night. That's the signal. That's the trumpet of destiny sounding. That's the spiritual vibration of God. Peeling back the layers you've outgrown, you're old. Skin, you've outlived the lies. The cocoon is breaking. The real you is ready to emerge. You may have looked ordinary, but God never made you to be average. You may have been counted out, but God counted you in. You may have been hidden, but now God is about to showcase you, not for your glory, but for His not to boast, but to bear fruit, not to dominate, but to demonstrate. The power of a life surrendered to God. God is about to reveal who you really are. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, not because of your talent, not because of your charm, but because of the divine fire that burns inside of you. That fire is not random. That fire is evidence of a calling too heavy for human hands. That fire is what has kept you alive through storms that should have broken you. It is that fire that will now light the path forward. Don't be afraid of the spotlight God is about to place on you. Don't shrink back from the stage He is preparing. You've cried long enough. You've doubted long enough. You've hesitated long enough. Now is the time to rise. Now is the time to step forward. Now is the time to stop seeing yourself through the lens of your trauma and start seeing yourself through the eyes of God. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. You are exactly where God wants you to be. The timing is divine. The moment is sacred. The wind is shifting. The heavens are moving. And the same God who formed you in secret is about to expose you in power. He is about to pour oil on your head. He's about to open doors you didn't knock on. He is about to raise you up where others tried to bury you. God is about to reveal who you really are. So I say this with every bounce of truth in my being. Get ready. Get serious. Get low before God, because the unveiling is holy. The revealing is not for applause. It is for assignment. The stage is not for ego. It's for impact. The light is not for fame. It's for purpose. And you have been chosen by God to carry something the world needs. Don't question your worth. Don't doubt your capacity. Don't second guess your journey. Every scar was preparation. Every wound was molding. Every loss was alignment. There's something different about you, and it's time you stop hiding it. It's time you stop apologizing for it. It's time you stop minimizing what God magnified. There is no humility in pretending to be less than what God created. There is no honor in shrinking away from your destiny. Stand tall. Speak bold. Walk with fire in your bones and the echo of heaven in your voice, because God is about to shout through your life in a way that silences every critic. God is about to reveal who you really are. Even when you don't feel ready, God is. Even when your hands still tremble, God's hand is steady. Even when your voice shakes, God's voice thunders. You were never meant to do it alone. God is with you. God is in you. And when God is in the room, fear has to leave. When God moves, no one can block it. When God speaks, every false identity must bow. You are about to be crowned, not by men, but by truth. You are about to walk in a name God gave you. Before time began, get ready. God has been watching your hidden faithfulness. God has seen the silent tears. God has recorded the prayers you whispered when no one else was around. And now God is ready to reveal the one He's been building in the shadows. The real you, the powerful you, the fearless you, the faithful you, the unshakable you. The revelation that is coming is not a display of ego. It is a release of purpose. It is not about being seen by man, but being seen by God as ready. This unveiling is sacred. It is divine. It is heavy with responsibility. Because when God reveals who you truly are, He doesn't just elevate you. He entrusts you with influence, with truth, with light. He entrusts you to walk into places where others have bowed and to stand. He entrusts you to speak when others have gone silent. He entrusts you to carry a fire that cannot be extinguished by fear, criticism, or pressure. God reveals those who are willing to be refined. If you've endured the heat, it's because God has been preparing the vessel. If you've been isolated, it's because God was removing distractions. If you felt broken, it's because God was breaking off the pieces that didn't belong to your divine identity. You thought you were being crushed, but God was actually reshaping you. And when God reshapes, He does not consult your past. He commands your future. When God lifts the veil, the world will not see your scars first. They will see your strength. But remember, that strength was forged in the night. It was built in seasons where no one saw, no one clapped, and no one understood. That is where God does His greatest work, in the unseen, in the misunderstood, in the forgotten corners of your journey. God was there chiseling you like a sculptor, and now the unveiling is near, not because of who you are alone, but because of what God is about to do. Through you, you've wondered why doors closed. You've questioned why certain people walked away. But what you didn't see was that God was protecting your becoming. Some places were too small for what you carry. Some relationships were too weak to handle your weight. God removed them not to punish you, but to prepare the environment where the real you could emerge fully. When God reveals you, it must be in the right setting. God doesn't light a lamp to be hidden under a basket. He places it on a stand so that it gives light to the whole room. But with that light comes responsibility. When God reveals the real you, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer play small or wait for the perfect moment. You must move. When God says move, you must speak. When God stirs your spirit, you must act. When God commands, because to be revealed by God is to be activated by Him. This is not a cosmetic transformation. It is not about the outer appearance. It is the emergence of the soul fueled by God, cleansed by trials, and focused by calling. Do not be surprised if the people closest to you do not understand this transformation. God is not revealing you for their approval. God is revealing you for His purpose. Those who only knew your wounds will struggle to recognize your strength. Those who only knew your silence will be stunned by your voice. Those who only knew your past will be shocked by your purpose. But their opinions do not define you. God does. And when God defines a soul, no opinion can rewrite that identity. This season of revelation will also expose what is false around you. God does not lift the true without shaking off the fake as the real you emerges, people, and patterns that once surrounded you will fall away. Don't chase what God is removing. Don't mourn what God is deleting. If God is cutting ties, it is because your elevation requires protection. The weight of your destiny demands a cleaner atmosphere. You can't soar with anchors tied to your feet. The real you, the one God is about to reveal, will not be intimidated by the opinions of the world. That version of you walks with clarity. That version of you no longer seeks validation from temporary places. That version of you is rooted in God's voice, and nothing else matters. When God becomes your foundation, you can weather any storm, face any giant, and walk through any fire, knowing that you are not alone. You are not rising for comfort. You are rising for war, spiritual war, mental war, war against lies, war against fear. And God is about to reveal the version of you that is not afraid to speak truth in a generation addicted to noise. You are being revealed for such a time as this, not to blend in, but to blaze, not to echo, but to proclaim, not to entertain, but to awaken when God reveals who you really are. Your posture changes. You no longer walk timidly, you walk boldly. You no longer seek attention, you carry presence. You no longer try to fit in. You create space, and you no longer fear failure, because you understand that when God reveals, He also sustains. God doesn't just bring you forward, He equips you. This new version of you will come with divine confidence, Not arrogance, confidence rooted in the fact that God's hand is on you, confidence rooted in the fact that you've been tested, you've been tried, and you've been found faithful. God is not revealing you because you're perfect. He's revealing you because you're ready. And being ready doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means fear no longer controls you. It means doubt no longer paralyzes you. It means shame no longer defines you. You're ready because God says so. And when God says you're ready, you don't wait for another sign. You rise, you speak, you move, you act in alignment with heaven's timing. This season is sacred. It is weighty. It is filled with supernatural transition. And if you listen closely, you will sense that God is stirring your name in rooms you haven't walked into. Yet, God is orchestrating connections you don't even know about. Yet, God is aligning resources, opening doors and assigning angels to walk with you. Why? Because the version of you He is about to reveal is not just for your benefit, it's for the breakthrough of others. When God reveals you, your life becomes a message. Your journey becomes a testimony. Your scars become stories of survival. Your pain becomes a platform, and your voice becomes an instrument in the hand of the Almighty. Don't despise the path you took to get here. It was never about speed. It was about surrender. And now, because you've surrendered, God is about to showcase what? Obedience births. There is no need to compare. God reveals each soul in its appointed season. Your time is not late. Your path is not lost. The revelation is right on schedule. And what God is about to unfold through, you will make sense of every moment you thought was wasted. The waiting wasn't a delay, it was a divine investment. Now is the moment to shed. You are not forgotten. You are called. You are chosen. You are about to be revealed. And when God reveals who you really are, the world will not be the same because the unveiling of a person filled with the power of God shifts everything. It changes rooms. It redirects legacies. It shakes atmospheres. It destroys strongholds, and it liberates the oppressed. So do not look to the left or the right. Do not look backward. Look up. Keep your eyes on God, for what is coming cannot be stopped by man, cannot be delayed by demons, cannot be stolen by enemies. It belongs to you, not because you earned it, but because God ordained it. He formed you in silence. He built you in struggle. He purified you through fire, and now He is revealing you in power. Stand firm, stay humble, stay close to God. For the revelation that is coming will mark the beginning of something greater than you can imagine. You are about to walk, not just in visibility, but in divine clarity, knowing who you are, because you finally understand whose you are, and that changes everything. The soul that God has been shaping is about to rise with an authority it never knew it carried. There's a boldness coming over you that is not born of pride. It is born of revelation. When God opens your eyes to who you truly are, fear must flee. When God peels back the curtain of confusion and lets you see the divine design within you, you stop asking for permission to exist. You stop second-guessing your instinct. You stop apologizing for your strength, because when God reveals identity, He also ignites purpose. And when purpose is lit by the fire of God, no force in this world can extinguish it. You were created to disrupt darkness. That's why the storms were relentless. That's why you felt the weight of battles others never saw, because the enemy doesn't waste ammunition on those with no potential. You weren't under attack because you were weak. You were under attack because your presence threatened systems of evil. But the darkness underestimated your endurance. It underestimated the one who was holding you. It forgot that when God is the architect of your destiny, no demon can destroy the foundation. This is more than a season of increase. This is a season of awakening. God is not just increasing what you have. God is awakening who you are, and as your spirit awakens, so too does your influence. The real you is not someone timidly waiting to be acknowledged. The real you is not a shadow of who others told you to be. The real you is a force of righteousness infused with God's power and ready to walk in the earth as a vessel of unshakable purpose. Do not look at your surroundings to measure what's coming. God's revelations often begin in obscurity. The seed doesn't sprout overnight, but beneath the soil things are moving. Roots are forming, strength is developing. The deeper the root, the higher the rise. God didn't allow you to be buried. He planted you. And now that you've stayed planted in faith, the time of sprouting is. Here you will rise not because of your timing, but because of God's perfect timing. What's about to happen in your life will be undeniable. You won't have to explain it. You won't have to campaign for it. When God reveals you, it will speak for itself. The light He places on you will carry such clarity that confusion will have no room to breathe. You've tried to explain your journey to those who could never understand your depth, but now you won't need words. Your walk will say it. All your actions will echo in realms you've never seen, because the real you, the one God formed through fire, is about to be set loose in the world. You're not stepping into popularity. You're stepping into power. There's a difference. Popularity fades. Power remains. Power doesn't come from position. It comes from divine alignment. When God breathes on your name, it doesn't matter who tried to bury it. When God says, rise, not even the grave of your own doubt can hold you. You may have been through seasons where you lost your voice, where you lost your confidence, but you never lost your calling, and now God is reviving what seemed lifeless. You are walking into a divine resurrection, not of your body, but of your purpose. Get ready to see your reflection differently. The mirror will no longer show you limitation. It will reveal potential. The whispers of the past will no longer chain your thoughts, because when God reveals the true self, He also silences every lie that kept it. Buried you are not who your trauma tried to shape you into. You're not the echo of your mistakes. You are not the echo of rejection. You are the echo of God's intention. You are the living proof that God still raises, still restores, still reveals. And when God reveals, He doesn't just show you the strength. You begin to walk in at the steps you were once too afraid to take. You will now take with courage the decisions you used to delay. You will now face with divine confidence, because the clarity God gives is not just mental, it's spiritual. You know who you are, not because you figured it out, but because God has unveiled it. Fee figured it out because God has unveiled it. You'll find that your discernment becomes sharper, that your tolerance for the unnecessary fades, that your hunger for truth grows deeper, because once the real you emerges, false attachments can no longer cling to your spirit, what used to entertain. You will begin to irritate you. What once distracted you will now disgust you. You won't crave noise, you'll crave stillness. You won't chase applause, you'll chase alignment. Because the revealed soul doesn't move for attention, it moves from obedience. And oh, how powerful obedience becomes. When it flows from identity, you begin to hear God more clearly. You begin to see opportunities with sharper vision. You begin to feel assignments calling you out of comfort, and you respond not with fear, but with fire, because you understand now that you are not ordinary. You are not here to take up space. You are here to shake the earth with the echo of what God whispered into your soul before the stars ever lit the sky. You must understand this is not just a personal moment. It is a generational one. The unveiling of your identity is a key to someone else's freedom. There are people assigned to your voice. There are breakthroughs tied to your obedience. There are chains that will fall the moment you speak the way God has ordained you to speak. This is not about being known. It's about being used, and when God uses you, nothing remains the same. You are entering the hour of responsibility. Now that God is revealing you, you can't go back. You can't fit into places that used to feel comfortable. You can't laugh at jokes that contradict your calling. You can't walk with people who pull you away from what God has shown you, because once truth is revealed, compromise becomes poison. You're now accountable to the revelation. You are now walking under the weight of purpose. But don't fear the weight, for where God gives purpose, He also gives power. And this power will sustain you in the face of pressure. It will keep you grounded when attention tries to lift you too high. It will keep you humble when favor increases, because the power is not your own. It flows from the source. You are not the light, you are the lamp. And as long as you stay connected to God, the flame will never go out. Everything around you may not. Understand this shift, that's okay. Let them question. Let them talk, let them speculate. They saw the version of you that was in hiding. They never expected to see the fire that's about to break forth. Let them adjust to the new you. You're not here to convince them, you're here to walk in it. So walk. Walk with holy focus. Walk with unwavering faith. Walk with a mind made up and a heart sealed by God. Because the path ahead is not random, it's strategic. Every step you take now must be intentional. Every word must carry weight. Every moment must be filled with purpose. God is not playing with your life, and neither should you. God is about to establish you in the earth. He is about to send you into places where your voice will carry weight, where your presence will shift atmospheres, where your story will unlock others, where your scars will shine as signs of victory. Not because you're flawless, but because you're free. Free to be what God always intended. When God reveals who you really are, it will not only change how you see yourself, it will shift how you walk into every room. You will no longer seek to be accepted because you'll know you are already appointed. You will no longer fight to prove your worth because your worth has already been spoken into existence by the one who shaped the galaxies and wrote your name into the folds of his will. There is a holy courage rising in you now. One that can no longer be suppressed by fear, no longer chained by hesitation, and no longer silenced by the echoes of your past. This revelation is divine in nature. It doesn't come from books or from the lips of others. It comes straight from the throne of God. It is whispered into your spirit in the quiet hours when the world sleeps, but your soul is awake. That still small voice that has been stirring you, provoking you, calling you higher. That is God speaking. That is God showing you glimpses of who you are when all the layers of doubt are stripped away, and now that whisper is becoming a thunder. That stirring is becoming a roar. The time of glimpses is over. The full image is being revealed. You are not rising into someone new. You are returning to who you always were in the eyes of God. The world tried to cover it, tried to label you, tried to define you by what you did or didn't do, but God does not define you by your record. God defines you by your origin, and your origin is divine you. We're born of God's plan, shaped in His intention, and breathed into existence with purpose in every fiber of your being. So when God reveals who you really are, it may surprise others, but it won't surprise your spirit. Your spirit has known all along. That's why you've never felt settled in shallow places. That's why you felt restless when others seemed content. That's why the ordinary never satisfied you. It's because your soul has been crying out for the real you to be born to. Be activated to be unleashed, and now that cry has reached the ears of the Almighty, and God is saying, now is the time, rise and be who I called you to be. This unveiling doesn't come with applause, it comes with assignment, and every assignment from God requires endurance, discipline, humility, and bold obedience. The path ahead will not always be easy, but it will always be anointed. God does not reveal you only to celebrate you. God reveals you to use you. And when you are used by God, you become a living vessel through which light penetrates darkness and truth confronts deception. You will find that things you used to tolerate now irritate your spirit. That's not pride, it's spiritual growth. When God begins to open your eyes to your identity, your appetite changes. You begin to crave silence over noise, purpose over popularity, wisdom over excitement, because your soul is aligning with its true origin, its divine blueprint. You are waking up to who you are, not in the eyes of society, but in the sight of God. And when you walk in this identity, doors will open, not because you knock, but because your presence announces destiny opportunities. Will chase you down because what you carry cannot be ignored. People will be drawn to you not because of charisma, but because of the weight of God's presence upon you. You will walk into rooms and the atmosphere will shift not because of what you say, but because of what God has placed within you, and that inner fire will not flicker, it will blaze. But hear this fire must be protected. You cannot carry this revelation casually. You cannot walk lightly in something that God poured out with divine intention. To whom much is revealed, much is required. You must guard your spirit from compromise. Guard your eyes from distractions. Guard your heart from contamination. Because what God is about to birth through you will not only elevate your life, it will impact generations. The real you is a leader, a warrior, a storm walker, a truth bearer, a vessel of divine justice and mercy. You were not born to conform. You were born to confront the lies in the atmosphere, to confront the fear in your family line, to confront the doubt in your own soul, and say, enough, I know who I am because I know who my Creator is. This is not the season to shrink. This is not the hour to hesitate. This is not the moment to delay. When God reveals you, you must move. You must respond. You must walk in the fullness of the call with unwavering faith and a heart locked on the voice of God, because every moment you delay is a moment purpose waits, and purpose is too sacred to waste. There are lives attached to your obedience. There are breakthroughs that will only occur when you step fully into who God made you to be. There are places that have remained in darkness waiting for the light you carry. There are voices that have been silenced waiting for yours to echo with truth. You are not just chosen to be, you were chosen to do, and that doing begins the moment you surrender completely to what God has shown you about yourself. Let the world say what it wants. Let people try to figure you out. Let skeptics doubt and critics talk. It does not matter, because when God reveals, no human can conceal. When God sets something in motion, not even the gates of darkness can halt its progress. You are being revealed by divine order, not by human permission. Stand tall in this identity, not with pride, but with purpose. Not for self-glory, but for divine service. Let your life now be an offering poured out to God. Let your hands be His instruments. Let your mind be guided by His wisdom. Let your mouth speak only what He gives you to speak, because the true you is not a performance, it is a calling. And that calling has come alive. You've waited long enough. You've hidden long enough. You've apologized for your strength long enough. Now it's time. The voice of God is summoning you forward. No more delaying. No more shrinking. No more bowing to fear. God has appointed this time, this moment, this hour for confusion, because clarity has come through God's voice. The mask is falling, the shell is breaking, the fog is lifting, and what is emerging is powerful, purposeful, holy, and unstoppable, because it has been fashioned by the hand of the Almighty. Let the heavens bear witness, let the earth prepare, because what God is about to do through you will echo far beyond your imagination, and it all begins now with the full unveiling of the soul. God has been shaping in secret. Walk forward, child of purpose. You were born for this moment. There comes a moment in every life when silence ends and destiny speaks. That moment is sacred. That moment is not defined by time, but by divine timing. And hear me clearly. You are standing in that moment. Now God is calling forth the version of you that has been hidden, suppressed, denied, ignored, even by your own mind. But God has not forgotten. God has not overlooked. God has not erased what He planted in you before. The world knew your name, and now the heavens are stirring, because the unveiling is not a distant hope. It is an active move of God already unfolding. You were not made to blend into the shadows of history. You were crafted to rise, not rise for fame, not rise for approval, but rise to fulfill an assignment etched in the eternal script of God's plan. When God reveals who you really are, it's not to give you comfort, it's to give you clarity. Because clarity kills confusion, clarity silences distraction, clarity breaks delay, and with clarity comes responsibility to act, to speak, to obey, to carry what God placed within you without fear or apology. The revelation of your true self will not come with gentle ripples. It will arrive like a wave that washes away false identities, old patterns, self-imposed limitations, and the expectations of those who never saw the weight of glory you were born to carry. This is why you had to walk alone. This is why you were misunderstood. This is why you kept trying to shrink your spirit to fit rooms too small for your purpose, but no more. God is enlarging your territory, not just externally, but internally. The soul inside you is expanding with divine awareness, And once expanded by truth, you can never return to the prison of small thinking when God reveals who you really are. People will wonder where you've been, but they didn't see the wilderness. They didn't see the tears. They didn't hear the cries that only God heard. They didn't feel the breaking, the refining, the pressing that happened when no one was watching. They only see the rise, but God saw the process. And God doesn't waste pain. Every ounce of suffering was calculated. Every delay was divine. Every no was sacred because the real you had to be born in fire. Not comfort, it had to. Come from surrender, not ambition. There is something holy in being hidden. Hidden seasons teach you to rely only on God. Hidden seasons strip you of the need for human validation. Hidden seasons, silence. The noise so you can hear the stillness. And in that stillness, God begins to speak identity into your bones. You begin to understand that you were never forgotten. You were being fortified. And now the hiding is ending. God is uncovering what He has refined. God is putting on display what He has sealed with purpose. God is calling your name out of the shadows and into the light of divine manifestation. You must prepare your heart for the weight of this revelation, because the true version of you is not light. It carries depth that carries fire. It carries a voice that cannot be tamed by trends or muted by fear. This is not about being loud. This is about being clear. And when you walk with clarity from God, every step becomes intentional. Every move becomes strategic. Every word becomes charged with heaven's authority. People may try to reconnect with the version of you they remember, but that version no longer exists. Let them grieve. Who you were, do not return to the places where God has delivered you from just to keep others comfortable. You are not being elevated to repeat old patterns. You are being released to walk in new dimensions, dimensions of wisdom, dimensions of vision, dimensions of spiritual authority that you hadn't yet embraced your true self. And let me speak this into your spirit. This unveiling will cost you something. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you relationships that were only attached to the lesser version of you. It will cost you opinions, praise, even status. But what you gain in exchange is eternal. You gain alignment with God. You gain the peace that comes from walking in truth. You gain the power of a life lived in full agreement with your divine assignment. And that is a price worth paying. You don't need to strive to prove anything anymore. When God reveals you, your fruit will speak for itself. The peace in your presence, the fire in your voice, the wisdom in your silence, the discipline in your steps, the love in your eyes, the way you carry storms without breaking, the way you rise again and again. When others expect you to fall, all of it will speak because it is God who speaks through you. This is the time to guard your soul. The unveiling is not just about elevation. It is also about exposure. When God pulls you into the light, everything that is not aligned must go. Thoughts that once had power over you will die in the light of truth. Habits that once comforted your insecurity will fall away in the strength of purpose. You are not the same, and you cannot live like you are. The call is too high. The responsibility is too great. The urgency is too strong. Let your past teach you, but never define you. Let your mistakes humble you, but never imprison you. Let your trials shape you, but never shrink you. You were never meant to be what others projected onto you. You were always meant to be what God declared over you. And God never declares anything without attaching power to the promise now. You must become intentional. Surround yourself with voices that speak truth, not flattery. Enter spaces that expand your faith, not distract your focus. Feed your spirit more than your ego. Fast from doubt. Feast on clarity. Meditate on purpose. Saturate your mind with God's guidance and silence every voice that tries to convince you to settle for less than you were born to become. You are not rising because you're better. You're rising because you're aligned, and alignment with God will take you where striving never could. Alignment unlocks doors that effort cannot. Alignment attracts favor that hustling cannot manufacture. When your soul lines up with what God says about you, there is a supernatural force that lifts you without noise, without compromise, and without delay. Let the unveiling continue. Let the layers fall. Let the Spirit rise. Let the truth pour through every fiber of your being, for this is not a performance. It is a divine becoming, and you chosen soul. are about to walk into the world not just as a person, but as a living declaration of what happens when a life is fully surrendered to God. Now is the moment to awaken. The part of you that the world could not kill, that time could not bury, and that pain could not silence, now is the moment to look deep within and recognize that the fire still burns, not because you kept it alive, but because God never let it die. Every breath you draw is evidence that God is not finished with you. Every heartbeat is a reminder that purpose still beats within your chest. You have not been left behind. You've not been overlooked. You have been preserved by the wisdom of God, by the mercy of God, by the timing of God. So ask yourself, have you truly embraced who God created you to be? Or have you dimmed your light to match the room? Have you silenced your voice to keep peace with people who were never meant to walk the full journey with you? Have you buried your purpose beneath fear, shame, or the opinions of others? This is your time to break the silence, to rise from the ashes and to walk in the full authority of your identity. You're not here to survive. You're here to fulfill. God is not calling you to perfection. God is calling you to obedience, to walk boldly, even when your knees tremble, to speak truth, even when your voice shakes, to carry light, even when surrounded by shadows. You do not need to have it all figured out. You only need to surrender. Surrender the mass. Surrender the lies. Surrender the doubt, and step fully into the soul that God has been forming through every trial, every tear, every season of silence. The unveiling is here, and with it comes a responsibility to walk not in fear but in faith. There is no more time to play small, no more time to second guess. The calling that has already been written into your being. You were not placed on this earth to blend in. You were not formed in your mother's womb to merely exist. You were spoken into time to make an impact that hell itself could not stop. So rise, stand firm, walk forward with a fire of clarity in your eyes and the authority of purpose in your voice. God has gone before you. God stands beside you. God walks within you. Let your life from this day forward become a living answer to God's calling. Let your thoughts be aligned with truth. Let your steps be guided by divine wisdom. Let your heart be anchored in the sacred certainty that you are known, seen, and chosen by the Almighty. And when you speak, let it be as one who has stood before the presence of God and emerged unshaken. The world is waiting not for another copy, but for the real you, the one God shaped in silence, the one God is revealing in power. So I urge you, look to the heavens and say, here I am, God. I will no longer run. I will no longer hide. I am ready to become who you created me to be. That is your call to action. That is your sacred charge. And if you walk in it, if you move in it, if you live from it, your life will not just change. It will become a vessel through which God changes others. Let this moment be the line in the sand. Let it be the day the masks fall, the fears flee, and the true self rises not by your strength, but by God's power, not by your plan, but by God's purpose. And as you walk forward from this moment, may every step be drenched in faith. May every breath be anchored in truth. And may your soul never again doubt the greatness of the God who reveals, refines, and releases. Go now, not as who you were, but as who you are, and let the world see what happens when a soul fully yields to the call of God. Let your life thunder with purpose. Let your silence become a song. Let your presence speak of power, and let your future tell the story of a person who dared to believe that when God reveals who you really are, nothing can stay the same.